Hi everyone, welcome to another edition of the Lanzarote Weekly News from me, Mike, from Lanzarote Information. Now, as always this week, we'll be giving you the latest news from the island. Around about the middle of the video, I'll be sharing the useful Spanish phrase of the week. And right at the end, I'll be giving you 3 things you could be doing if you are here next week. And of course, the news this week is all about the flooding, which I know is all over the papers in Europe. Severe flooding in Canary Islands and all that kind of stuff, so we will be covering that. But first, let's talk about the sardine being buried. And Carnival ended in Arrecife this week. Of course, it carries on through all the other parts of the island, Playa Honda, Puerto del Carmen, and so on and so forth. But always to mark the end of Carnival is a procession of weeping widows carrying a giant papier-mâché sardine, which is then taken to the beach, burned, buried, and there follows a big firework display. And that took place in Arrecife a couple of days ago, and all went well. It's quite a moving and interesting ceremony to mark the end of it and effectively the beginning of the period of Lent. Now, I don't know how well you know Orzola, but there's a cracking beach there which is sort of down a track and a bit hidden out of the way. It's called La Canteria, and Playa La Canteria was the scene of a rescue this week. 2 people had... There's another little beach just around the corner from it, and at low tide you can walk around to it. And a couple did that. They walked around to the small beach, then the tide came in and they couldn't get back. One of them, in fact, couldn't swim, so Emelan, the rescue service, were called, and they deployed one of their jet skis and picked up the 2 people and took them round to the beach they'd started at. So do think about tides, I think, is the moral of the story. Relatively easy on any mobile phone to get high and low tides for wherever you are in the world, and have a think about the incoming or outgoing tide and how that might affect what you're doing. Now, I don't know if you saw the viral video of the reckless overtake an intercity bus on the LZ2 a couple of weeks ago. It certainly went all over social media and people were up in arms about it. The good news is that the Guardia Civil have now located who the driver is. He's a 64-year-old man, and he has been charged with reckless driving, which is quite a serious offence here in Spain. There is a possibility of jail time, but he will almost certainly lose his driving licence, and it can be for up to 6 years. It really was scary to look at the video, and you know, he deserves everything he gets. Now, next up, the new spa at the Hotel Farallones in Puerto del Carmen has opened. And it has what they call a sort of wellness spa circuit in it. It's got a Turkish bath, it's got a sauna. It has a little plunge pool outside with deck chairs with lovely views across the beach and to Fuerteventura. It looks a really nice place to spend some time, and it's not just open to residents of the hotel, it's open to the general public if you fancy doing a bit of wellness sometime in Puerto del Carmen. Now, I said we'd talk about the rain, and boy did it rain, but only in parts of the island. It was really quite strange because this was on Tuesday. We in Aria had the odd shower, but nothing serious at all. But down in Arrecife, in Puerto del Carmen, and in Mazdache, it was absolutely torrential. Puerto del Carmen recorded 26 litres per square metre of rain, and I've never heard a number out there. I've come across 15 litres, but this was 26. And we know from talking to friends who live there and somebody who lives in our apartment there how bad it was, because it really was just an absolute deluge. It closed the Avenida Islas Canarias, which we all know as the Strip. It's Avenida de las Playas, which we all know as the Strip. It burst all the drains down the Strip, so water was just flooding absolutely everywhere. Cars were damaged by a wall collapsed. A lot of the shops, bars and restaurants, particularly those with basements, were really quite badly flooded out. As I'm recording this, the cleanup has basically been done and the Strip has been reopened. But I think there'll be a lot of work for some of those businesses to deal with the flood damage, unfortunately. I know a lot was made of this in the international press. It happens every few years, every 3 or 4 years we get a real deluge here. And unfortunately we don't have the drainage system and infrastructure to cope with it, because it would be madness to build massive storm drains everywhere for something that happens every few years. So we just suck it up and deal with it. And finally, before we break this half with the useful Spanish phrase, there's still quite a lot of news to come, but the Canary Islands have recorded the lowest number of long-term unemployed for 16 years. That's since 2009. 860 people who had been employed, who had been long-term unemployed, that is for more than 12 months, found jobs over the last 12 months and got back into work. So that's good news, and the Canarian economy is absolutely booming along with Spain's at the moment. So all of the indicators are giving us good news here currently. Now, useful Spanish phrases. You might recall last week I was talking about kind of filler words, the words that make a sentence more complete rather than just using the noun. Let me give you an example. The waiter walks past and you want another glass of wine. I quite often hear people go, they'll sort of hold up the glass and go, "Una copa de vino, por favor." Now that works. You know, it gets it over the net, as we say, because you're saying, "A glass of wine, please." But if you think about how you would say that in English, you would say, "Can I have a glass of wine?" or "Can I have another glass of wine, please?" So in Spanish, that would translate to "Puedo tener otra copa de vino?" So can I have another glass of wine? But that isn't right. And here's another sort of peculiarity of the Spanish language, because we don't say, "Can I have?" We say, "Can you give me?" So when we're asking for something, we use the phrase, "Puedes darme?" "Puedes darme?" Can you give me? And you'll use it all the time, every day, now that you know it. And you'll use it all the time, every single day. Puedes darme. Whatever you need, you can just use that phrase. Puedes darme un otra copa de vino. Puedes darme un planta. Puedes darme una cámara magnifico. Whatever you want to say, you can use that short phrase beforehand. Puedes darme. Can you give me? So let's go back to the news now. Rancho Texas has installed geothermal heating for its swimming pools. Now, this caught my eye because I remember we used to go there when our kids were young quite often and enjoy the splash pools and sitting around on the sunbeds around the big pools there. But even in summer, they were freezing. And this, well, to me anyway, this new geothermal heating system will keep a constant temperature all through the year. So winter or summer, the pools will be at a comfortable temperature. And I like that it's geothermal because that makes it eco-friendly. They're taking heat from the earth and pumping it into the swimming pools. Now, I haven't mentioned the ongoing weather here, but as you can probably hear, it's very blustery today and the wind is blowing the wrong way. So we might get a bit of aircraft noise because I think aircraft are landing from the land side this morning. I certainly heard a couple of jets go over the office this morning when I was working. The forecast for the next few days is for it to continue to be blustery, and perhaps with the odd shower on Saturday and Sunday, but it's looking much better from Monday onwards. So hopefully next week we'll get back into our usual glorious winter sunny weather. Now, I loved this story. You may have seen the iconic image of the ladies of La Graciosa, who in the old days would go across from La Graciosa in small boats, land on the beach at the bottom of the Risco, and then walk up the goat path there with big baskets on their shoulders carrying fish. And at the top they would meet women from the villages of the north of the island and swap the fish for potatoes and tomatoes and vegetables and so on and so forth. And they would do that almost every day. And a new statue has been commissioned and now installed in the main town in La Graciosa. The town is called Caleta de Cebo. And this little statue is beautiful. It shows it's a bronze of one of those ladies carrying a basket on her shoulder, and it was made by the artist Rigoberto Camacho Perez. I just think it's a lovely thing to have done, and I look forward to having a look at it next time I'm in La Graciosa. And right on cue, there's the sound of an aircraft going overhead. You probably will have seen the stories about the massive queues we had at the airport on Thursday last week. I wasn't able for last week's bulletin to get the background to it, so I didn't have the story effectively. I'll just update you on what went wrong. Basically, 17 non-Schengen aircraft arrived in a very small window of time. And the problem came about because some of the aircraft arrived earlier than anticipated, and some of them arrived later than anticipated. So whereas normally, even though Thursday is a super busy day, there's kind of a staggering system that works. The staggering system all went to pot. And all of these aircraft arrived and disgorged their passengers in a very short space of time. And that resulted in a queue just to get into the terminal, let alone into the immigration section to have passports checked and stamped. I gather it was a bit of a freak situation. It shouldn't, fingers crossed, happen again, but it certainly made the news, and it's not the best way to arrive on the island. I gather that the longest wait was 2 hours, which is unacceptably long for a visit to Lanzarote. So on behalf of the island, apologies if you were caught up in that, and hopefully it won't happen again. The story we did run in last week's was about the lady who was arrested on a Europol arrest and extradition warrant. And we just got a bit more information about her. Her name is Tania Gomez. She's 33 years old. And she is alleged to have been running a pretty sizable money laundering and drug running operation from her home in Tias. And she's been wanted for a number of years. She's in prison in Tahiti at the moment, just awaiting a judge to grant the extradition treaty, and then she will be extradited to Sweden, where she'll face charges of drug running and money laundering. And finally, great news for football fans. The stadium at Arrecife, where UD Lanzarote play, is almost complete. The pitch has all been laid. It just needs a sign-off from the official body that says league football can be played there. The running track is getting its last coat of blue asphalt, so there's a brand new running track there as well. The plan is that the stadium will open towards the end of March, and it's likely that UD Lanzarote will be able to play their first home game in April there. So they should be back where they belong, in the capital. And that's the end of the news. I hope you enjoyed that. If you did, please give us a like. Have you got any questions? Is there stuff that I've talked about that you'd like to know more about? Just leave a comment. I read every single comment, and I will be happy to answer your questions to the best of my ability. Now, it's finally that section where I talk about 3 things you could do next week. Now, typically at this time of year, with Carnival sort of rumbling around from San Bartolome to Puerto del Carmen to Teguise and so on, everything's all about Carnival, and there aren't that many events going on. But I found 3 crackers all towards the end of next week that I think you might be interested in. Now, the first of those takes place on the 14th and 15th of March, and it's one for motorsport fans. It's the 46th Rally Orzola de Lanzarote, and this is a rally that takes place, as you can imagine, every single year, because this is the 46th year of it, and rally cars from all over the islands come over to compete in this one. It takes place, the sort of setup takes place in Arrecife, so if you want to go down and see the cars being scrutineered and see them sort of up close and personal, you can do so in Arrecife on the 14th. And it then takes off around various parts of the island, so there are stages in Tias, in Tegoya, in Aria, Arieta, Punta Mujeres, and Guatiza. And so that's on the 14th and 15th of March. If you want the full details, go to our website, lanzaroteinformation.co.uk, click what's on, and go to the 14th of March, and you'll see a link there to the rally organisers website where you can download a PDF with all of the details of what time the stages are starting and whereabouts. So if you like motorsport, that might be something that you will enjoy. But if you don't like motorsport, how about some tango? On the same day, Friday the 14th, there is a big tango event going on at El Fondeadero, which is the kind of meeting place just by the harbour, the Old Town Harbour in Puerto del Carmen. And this also runs on Friday the 14th and Saturday the 15th of March. And they've got a number of people appearing and doing various things there, but it's all kind of based around Argentinian tango. And here are some of the things going on. They're showing a movie called Tango Bar. There'll be a performance by a duo, which will last about an hour on the Friday. Then there's a dance. So for those of you who can do the tango, there's an opportunity to go down and do some tango yourselves. On the 15th then there is a series of talks and videos about tango, and then there are concerts from a tango ensemble, more dancing and more public dancing as well. So it's described as a tango festival, and if you're into dance it sounds as though it might be quite interesting. And finally, the celebrations for St. Patrick's Day start on Saturday the 15th. The main parade is on Monday the 17th, which of course is St. Patrick's Day, but there's stuff going on both the Saturday and the Sunday next week. Sunday is all about sports activities, so there will be Canarian wrestling and hurling, and something described as international tributes on the beach in Puerto del Carmen. I don't know any more than that at this stage. On the 16th there is a cultural twinning between Ireland and Lanzarote, and there are also music concerts taking place, and then the 17th is the main parade. Again, just go to the What's On section of our website for all the detail that you could possibly want. Hope you've enjoyed this week's news video. Thank you so much for watching. Please give us a like, leave a comment, say hello to us in any way you can. Thanks for watching, and bye for now.